right, but we can.
We're 500.
We actually have a lot of
Total, so I think, yeah,
items that we have to try to
we're gonna
follow through.
be with tables and things.
Can you hear us, Don?
Well, it's.
Can we hear you?
Yes.
You're good. Okay. Started zooming in. I think it's an easier day and I really hate to get anyone sick, so I figured I better be at home.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody pull their mics a little bit closer and we're gonna go ahead and get started.
I think we're recording right now, so wait, let me just make sure.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. This is council meeting, Monday, May 11th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Darren Miller? Darren Miller? Eric Sarine? Eric Sarine? Jen Mazias?
Here.
Molly Sigler?
Here.
Becca Wroblewski? Wroblewski?
Here.
Sorry. Don Benson?
Here.
Jared Trimbo?
Here.
Quorum is met.
Thank you. Next is our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, I got distracted by the. Okay. So first we'll start with the approval of minutes from council meetings from April 13th and 21st and board of review April 29th. If anyone would care to make that motion.
Motion to approve all of those.
Motion by Jerry to approve all.
Second.
Second, I'll take Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I do need to skip the expenditures for now, because we only had one person in a quorum to, do they need a quorum to approve the expenses at personnel and finance before?
If no one has reviewed them,
One person has.
they do not, because they don't have actually any decision-making authority, so they do not need a quorum for their recommendation.
Okay.
If there's,
Not done yet.
Oh, they're not done yet.
if it's not done yet and if there hasn't been a recommendation to approve, then we can't vote to approve.
Okay.
But
So
they don't necessarily,
Becca's the only one that reviewed them. So
Yeah.
Becca has
Not
reviewed
even
them.
one that we know we really need to pay because it didn't make it into the last.
if
one.
it can get reviewed by everyone and we can do a recommendation on that, that's fine.
There's one outstanding, I think it was McMahon and Associates, it was part of that grant, the innovation planning grant for the one that we partnered with the league on. And it's for like $13,000 or $14,000 and they can't pay their subs until we pay this bill that they sent us. It was like the day before or the day of our last meeting. And so I told them that it should be able to be done tonight, if there's any way we could do that. But then that means you have to find.
And we could also make a motion to approve contingent upon and subject to recommendation for approval by the, once personnel and finance gets a chance to review it. Then if they have any issues with it though, it wouldn't be approved, it wouldn't be valid until council comes back to consider it, but
So Becca has reviewed that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you signed off.
I haven't reviewed, I don't think no.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you're still working through that?
Yeah, she's still working through them.
Oh, okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the expenditures, per recommendation once the personnel and finance, committee members make that recommendation.
Contingent upon.
Contingent upon that, yeah.
So there's a motion by Jen. Do you guys, is there a second?
Second.
second by Molly. Motion by Jen, second by Molly, to approve the monthly expenditures. And we will do a roll call vote on this, still, but it will be dependent on the recommendation. So roll call vote, please.
Jen Mazias,
Yes.
Molly Sigler,
Yes.
Becca Rubleski,
Yes.
did I get it right?
You did.
Rubleski. Don Benson,
Yes.
Gio Trimble,
Yes.
Got it? All right. And then, I would, we have only a very short time that we're gonna have a forum here. I don't make up a forum if we lose one of our,
Correct,
do I?
we do not.
Okay, so I would, look for a motion to amend the agenda to dive straight into the action items, starting with tab 3.
So moved.
Make a second.
Okay, motion by Jen, second by Don. To move it ahead on the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
To be still,
And then we'll go back to the other things.
okay, and we'll do part of the comment.
Yeah, yes. Okay, so the first item is in tab 3, discussion and action on expenditure of park designated fund for park improvements.
Yes, so, the Parks Committee has been talking quite a bit about the designated fund and what we want to move forward on, but the problem is we're still waiting for, the reimbursable from the DNR grants from last year's borrowing.
They still haven't told us how much.
We don't know how much, and so we don't wanna spend a lot of the parks designated fund, depending how much money we get back, because a lot of that was for parks projects. So we just been holding, and I'll put a plug in again, that we really need that to be finished in order for us to move forward on the projects that we want to, such as Hillside. So those are the people that are out there that are waiting for Hillside landscape plans and all that stuff, we're just holding, right? And so this was one thing that we knew we wanted to move forward on was, picnic, some picnic tables and a couple designated, rings down at the beaches, because we have a lot of people doing fires, down at, the beach and on the walking trail, and then also over by the coal dock. And so we talked about, the Sioux River Beach has put out some rings, and that's been successful. I did talk to the police department, because I know that that's like encouraging fires, right, that are happening anyways, and they were okay with it. So it's gonna be monitored for a little bit to see how it works. If it doesn't work, we have to pull them, and Curly will use them at the campgrounds. So we're looking to buy some fire rings, and we're also looking to, Curly's been replacing some of the older picnic tables with new boards. We just need some new picnic tables too.
Right,
So we're just gonna start by getting some. And so it's, we don't have all the numbers yet, but it's between $5,000 and $7,000, so it's not very much out of the designated fund. We've been wanting to spend $35,000 a year out of the designated fund, basically using kind of like the money that we get from the campgrounds to put back into them. And so we've been wanting to do that for the past 3 years and haven't done it. So we thought, let's just get this on the agenda, let's get this done, so that's what we're asking for.
I'll make a motion to approve that expenditure.
Motion by Jerry,
Second.
second by Don. And is that expenditure for the, whatever the 10 picnic tables and 4 fire rings cost?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. God bless you. All right. Next item, discussion and action on renewal of city attorney contract. Is our contract currently expired?
Yes, contract was up in April, so just kind of continuing rolling over from the prior terms of the contract. And I can get this all to you for the organizational meeting, but didn't in time, so this is up now. It's a bigger change than other years. We've been on this kind of flat fee arrangement that David Siegler had since probably
Time immemorial.
Yeah, when my dad passed away in 2002, so that long, that I've taken over. I think it's to be consistent with our other practice in municipal representation. I think just switching to an hourly rate is what I would prefer. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any.
I have a question. Do you have any idea what our average hours that we have you work on things is?
Yes, I had that report, so it averaged to. Second. Average for the last 2 years, I changed our billing system approximately 2 years ago, so we didn't have records from before that. But average hours was between 180 hours per year and 195. They're pretty consistent every year, about that same amount. I also would say there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily keep track of my time for City of Washburn, and I'll probably continue to do that. Just so that's where everyone's aware of that. And similar
Sometimes you
for,
forget to write something.
yes, similar for our, like, my office is in Ashland, there's no travel time, there's nothing that is added on for city for me being here for the evening meetings or anything. It's really just the time that's here in the meeting, not any of the other things like that.
Thank you. Did anyone else have any other questions? Jen?
What do we have budgeted for this line item?
And I can say that this is budgeted at, I believe it's 33,000 plus a $10,000 contingent legal fee, or like secondary legal coverage for times when I couldn't cover for the city, or oftentimes that are used for personnel or employment questions or other specialized matters that I think was used quite a bit previously, and I have taken on more and more of those roles. So I do think that even with this, I don't know if we've barely used any of that extra 10,000 budgeted amount for secondary legal coverage recently, but that amount would cover with this increase in costs or rates.
That was my main question, is
Yes.
how do the numbers work out?
Yeah.
And I didn't have the information to be able to do that.
Right.
So Mary, I saw you just get your phone calculator out, so the numbers work out.
So yeah, in the,
48,750 a year at the 195 hour a year.
So we're pretty close.
So, yeah, if it's 36 now, you said,
33 plus a 10.
plus 10, so
Yes,
that's
so
43, so that's about $5,000 to $6,000 more. Yeah, but at the high number.
At the high
of
number.
hours.
And I will say too that prior to Scott Kluber leaving, my time was significantly less. But since he had left and since we've had the turnover and the uncertainty, and a lot more things have come to me, so
It's true.
that time has increased there with that. So hopefully,
So we might be over this
Could-
year.
could decrease. if we
hopefully
get-
with
Slight decrease.
as a new administrator comes in to take a lot of that off as well.
It makes sense. Yes, that makes sense.
And the rate hasn't increased much since 2018.
No, I think it increased, since I started in 2018, I think it's increased $250 a month total. So right now, the average for the last 2 years, I think it was $168 an hour is what I've averaged. And I can tell you that doesn't even pay for the overhead of my office.
I know.
So every
It's
hour
a
that I'm
bargain,
working for
so
the
we shouldn't even
city
talk
of
about this
Washburn, I
anymore.
am losing money.
And- Yeah, we appreciate your services, we appreciate everything you do for us, and we know that it's a bargain, and we appreciate your office and everybody doing all this.
the dedication to the city.
Yeah,
That's the big thing.
I will.
Can't pay for that dedication.
Yeah. I make a motion to approve, the proposed contract, new contract with the attorney.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Jen, second by Jared to approve city attorney contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Pausing for that.
I was gonna hopefully ask another question before we got to the vote, but nobody saw me raise my hand.
Oh, sorry, well, we haven't completed the vote, so go ahead and ask your question.
My question is, can we make the contract expire next year instead of 2028? Just to give all of us time to get some of the staffing issues sorted out and for you to have better numbers, Max, for how much time you're really putting in. Just make sure we get this thing a little better dialed in. I don't mind at all paying hourly for like up to a year, but I just, I'd like to not count on this being the final contract going into the future, just to make sure everyone's getting what they should be getting out of it.
So I would
My other
say,
concern is that during meetings like this, some of them go a lot shorter, some of them go a lot longer. And I'm a little nervous, having the city attorney on the clock and how that may impact our ability to make decisions. If we're gonna rush through things, for example, tonight, I know it's a quorum issue, but we're cruising through some of this stuff. And I think sometimes it'd be better to be able to take our time, making really deliberate decisions. And I don't really necessarily feel super comfortable having that decision rest on an hourly rate and how much that's gonna cost taxpayers versus how much we could save by rushing.
okay, I'm gonna let Max respond.
Yeah, and as for your question on detailed numbers, I think I have all of those, or I explained essentially what it is. Those are the actual numbers. For 1 year versus 2 year, that's up to you. I know last renewal term, I said I could do it for 1 year, because there was some uncertainty in administration, and it was requested to have it 2 years. So that, because I provided that consistency and had the somewhat of an institutional knowledge that wasn't otherwise there. So that's why I said 2 years again. And as far as, I can answer for the question on meeting lengths, there are some municipalities we represent that don't have the attorney at every meeting. And they ask the attorney to show up for certain parts. There are some municipalities that we show up for the whole meeting, but then they have a committee of the whole that does more of the discussion on preliminary matters, without the city attorney present. Those are all options and everything that could be available there.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too, is, we could do in the future, we could do a thing where we stack and have where we need the attorney at different times, like in the beginning of the agenda, release you, because I know there's been other times where you left when we no longer need you, and so we maybe could do a better job. But I also find that there's a lot of times where we're like, hey, Max, so I also feel like it's really nice to have Max. And I'll just say from my standpoint of making the motion, Don, I'm super comfortable with having a 2 year timeframe right now with everything that's going on. And having that consistency, having Max here when we have like a new administrator come in for like another year. I think before we know it, the year's gonna be up. And it would be different if I questioned the money and how much time we spend, but the numbers are all pretty close. And I feel like we're, again, I'm not gonna say this too many times, I feel like we're kind of getting a little bit of a bargain with how much Max gives us. So I'm comfortable with the 2 years, but I hear you, but I'm not willing to amend my emotion at this time.
Okay,
And
Max,
then as far as I do review the agenda. If there are big discussion items, we typically do put them at the end that I wouldn't need to be here for. And I ask Mary, hey, can I step out? I do that already. Up until now, it has been for my personal time, but now if it's billed hourly, it also has that added benefit. But that's something that I'm not gonna sit around just to sit around and charge time. I can probably see that.
Right. Okay, and Max, just wanted to add a note, like, I really do appreciate your institutional knowledge and frankly, your opinion and you being around for things. And I just don't wanna feel like we need to rush you out the door because you're on the clock. So
Yeah.
as long as everyone's comfortable with this arrangement, yeah, I would vote for it. So,
I think it's some good points you bring up, Don, so thank you.
okay, so are we adding you to the, all in favor column, Don?
yes,
Okay, and then, there's no opposed then. So that motion carries, thank you. Okay, next is discussion and possible action on receipt and distribution of disaster relief funding. I just want to give a shout out to Kevin Porter here because he called me and mentioned this, National Realtors Disaster Relief Fund and said, hey, I think we might be able to tap into this. And sure enough, he connected me with, the gentleman out of Duluth who is our area-wide, representative, and before I even had the final details, he had applied for funding, and so we are going to be getting at least $50,000 that will be available to our residents who had damage from that storm to apply for, and I think it's a very simple process of maybe just showing a receipt. So it's not gonna be our process, it's their process.
That's
And
good.
then we just have to help advertise it to the community so that people can take advantage of it. So I guess I just want approval to receive those funds on behalf of the residents, however that exactly works. And I don't have all the details on how that works, but the receipt of funds and cooperation with distribution to the residents would be, I think, hopefully enough.
Yeah, I would say and make that contingent on city attorney review and approval of any contract that comes with it.
Anyone care to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to approve, receiving the disaster relief funding contingent upon if there's any contracts for the city, attorney to review.
Okay, motion by Jen,
Second.
seconded by Becca. Any other questions, comments, or discussion besides another thank you, Kevin Porter? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is discussion and action on grant funding pass-through for the Bayfield County Community Wellness Grant for 2 applicants. This is in tab 6 of your packet. These applicants apply directly through Bayfield County, but the funds would be received by the city and it's a pass-through. So we would not have to be in charge of determining their eligibility or anything like that. We just have to agree to accept the funds and then pass them on to the recipients, if we choose to do so. And both of these are, for things that are already and are about to be really great programs for the community, at the meditation center, so. Would anyone care to make a motion on that? And, oh, wait a minute. We might have to have somebody, withhold a vote because she's a recipient, in which case we won't have a quorum.
No, for that, it's still in a quorum. The individual's still here, still counts towards a quorum.
Okay, good.
It just then, your vote would not count towards the total number, so you still need a majority of council members present to vote in favor.
Right.
So we still have enough to get that done.
Okay.
I'll
You're
just
not voting.
hang out.
And it should be put in the minutes on the record, explain the reason for your abstention, any conflict of interest, and then it's clear that the remaining members are the ones who vote.
Got that, Tony?
Are you abstaining, Molly?
I am abstaining.
Thank you. Okay, so is there any motion to, receive those grant funds and pass them on to recipients?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jared, second by Jen.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, the only, I don't know if it's an issue per se, but just for the fact that the city receives the funding and then the city disperses the funding, there are expenses that the city will be doing. I don't know what the cost is of moving money back and forth, but
I would say negligible.
just to point that out, that there are city costs.
Yes, sometimes people, and it's a good point,
Yeah.
like that sometimes when you do a pass-through, that pass-through charges a percentage I'm assuming this is a pretty small amount of money, and I'm assuming that
It's one check and done.
it's one check and done, and so it's not like you're administrating the money over time, so
Correct.
I'm okay. Jared is on amend his motion, I'm okay not doing it, but it is a really good point that Tony brings up, like that our staff is really busy, so anything extra we have them do. This is one thing extra, it's not like it's big, but when you do another one and something else, it's like that 5,000 cuts, so it's a good point to bring up. And it's very common for a pass-through to charge money, right, it happens all the time, so it's a good point.
Except this fund doesn't allow it.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, that's great. But, I mean, I think it's good for us to think about, 'cause it's a good service, but
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I
Opposed? Motion carries with one abstention. Okay, next is discussion and action on resolution 26006, declaring official intent to reimburse expenditures from proceeds of borrowing. This is basically saying that we're gonna pay ourselves back. Because we have to dip into our funds to pay ahead of time before we get the grant money.
Do we do this?
Or the borrowing
Do
money.
we do this for
We
phase one?
did this, yeah, for phase one as well. It just gives us a little flexibility as the bills start to come in.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by
I just
Jerry.
have
Let's have a second first before
Yeah.
discussion, questions. Anyone?
Second.
Don? Okay, Molly.
does it matter that treasurer is misspelled on this,
say that again?
treasurer?
On the resolution.
Yeah, there is-
No, we will correct that.
Okay, it's,
But thank you for pointing that out.
Under Tammy's signature.
Yeah, the tree sorrower.
yes, it's in the several places and I just wasn't sure like how that affects the
Thank you.
It's a new way of spelling it.
So with that correction, okay, excellent. Any other questions, comments, or discussion?
I think Jared, you asked if we did this last year.
Or not last year, but
Not
in
last, for
24
phase
it
In
was.
24 we did this, and how much do we dip in and then give back?
It's
And-
usually a couple $100,000, I think.
Yeah, so I'm assuming we use it a lot. I hate to beat the dead horse here, but I feel like we still don't have all the resolution from 2 years ago. And I'm just,
What do you mean?
well, 2 years ago, like, we still haven't gotten our reimbursables back from like the DNR grants. We still don't know how much we spent and how much we have coming back. We don't have the bottom line. And I'm gonna keep bringing this up. Start with that.
We know that we're going to be having another borrowing, and we know that we're gonna have payments to make.
We do, and this is
And
fine.
so it's a
because
separate issue.
It's a separate issue, that's fine. I will approve this, but until, I'm not gonna approve much more on this. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna keep bringing this up and be uncomfortable with us moving forward on the next one until I know the bottom line on the first one for a fiscal responsibility. So I'm just bringing that up. This is separate, and I know that we're gonna be able to use this. I'm just saying, I feel like we're getting there. I feel like it's getting a little too far out for me. And I'm getting slightly, I'm not comfortable with this, but to me, it's still all tied. I know it's a separate issue, but this is all tied with us moving forward on this next piece. And we're full blown, and I still don't know how
Well,
we're gonna do
you
the last
already-
piece.
It is and it isn't. I mean, yes, we are still waiting on a piece of information. However, we've done the main project. It's paid for. We're just waiting to see how much is left to do other things that we want to do with the
So I
borrowing.
received an email from the DNR last week regarding this, the reimbursement. Part of the reason that it's taking so long is that the DOT's work was also included,
Microphone.
the DOT's work was also included within that grant. So they need to get information from the DOT to qualify or check the box for the city to get the reimbursement. That's what's taking so long.
And I'm good with that as long as we're getting the reimbursement. My
Yes.
question is, do we feel like we're not like in the red?
We're fine.
We know we're not in the red.
We know we're not in the red.
Okay.
Because we're waiting to spend that additional money until we know
Well,
how much that is.
not true. Well, I've been waiting to spend the additional money, but I was also informed a lot of times that bills were coming, Tammy's exact words were, the bills that were coming in keep coming in, and we weren't exactly sure where we were at. So this is the first time I've heard that we're in the green, so I feel better about it. Not in the green, but at least like
In the black, yeah.
not in the red. In the black, in the green, black, purple, I don't know, but
Red light, green
red
light.
light, green light. Okay, that's the first I've heard this, because that's why I was kind of
We
always
don't
waiting.
know exactly the dollar amounts, but it's fine.
You got that smile, like, trust me, Jen. So, okay, I've been.
And this is a whole separate thing.
It's not, it's all connected, because we're doing it again, and I still don't know how well we
But
did
this is a
before.
different thing that we're doing. We're paying ahead of time here and paying ourselves back. We're just saying that we can pay ourselves back.
Right.
For money that we will spend.
I know, but it's connected to the next action of us borrowing again, doing another project.
Correct.
But I haven't gotten a closeout from the last one to know what we did and how we did. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, all in favor.
Yeah, I just
Oh, sorry, go
have the grants and things, are we usually provided a timeline on when the reimbursements will happen? Or is that all just contingent upon meeting these certain deliverables?
There's no requirement for grant reimbursement expenditures that I'm aware of.
To me, that's another point. Like originally, we were told with our borrowing, like, oh, we need to spend it by October. And then we're like, oh, we need to spend it by January. And it's like, oh, we borrowed it, we don't need it, there's no timeline. And so that's kind of where
But is that because we didn't have an administrator telling us?
I don't know, it was just one of those
Or-
things like, right, no, I think even Scott was here at that time for a while.
There
We
was a
just got-
deadline
we
on
got-
spending the borrowed money.
We got some different things that came in and we got updated, so I think some of the stuff, I think we're just all learning, and so
And this specifically is a reimbursement.
we haven't had any time.
So there is a difference on timelines and requirements to spend, whether it's through revenue bonding for projects that are actually producing revenue, like the parks projects and those things. It was all lumped in as the city saw it and what we borrowed. It was kind of all lumped in one big dollar amount. But there are different timelines depending on if it's a revenue bonding or if it's capital improvement bonding or if it's general obligation bonding. Those three all have different timeline requirements. It's general obligations, there's no timeline. You put your budget in, you can issue bonds for that full amount. You get that full amount until either you pay it back or you use it. You're paying interest on it. It's revenue bonding. That has a certain amount of time that you have to show that the city's actually making money on this project because you're not borrowing against the city's debt levy limit, you're borrowing against the future income that this project is gonna produce.
Okay.
And that was the whole push for the yurts, is because it would be revenue bonding, because we could show that it was on paper making some money, so we could go above our debt levy limit.
Gotcha.
And then there are capital improvement bonding,
Which is what we were in.
which is what most of the project is.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need to be spent necessarily within a certain amount of time, as long as the project plans and the I guess the capital outlay is finalized and approved there. I think there are some questions because we changed our plans so that they were different from the initial capital outlay that we had done for our bonding. And that's when you run into timelines, when you're changing those plans.
Okay.
But it is, yeah, I think we talk about it all as one big borrowing, but there are actually three separate parts to it that all have different rules that apply to them. And those are questions I know enough to know that I don't know the specifics on them.
It's hard,
Those are
right?
questions that I think is really good to bring up for when we get
Into that next.
Ellers or whoever's gonna help us with
Yeah.
the bond issuance for
Cause it
this
just
project.
resulted in us like hurrying in the parks committee and trying to get all these bids, and so no, we don't need it. So it led to a lot of things that probably, like in the future, if we knew that ahead of time, then we would maybe just plan better, maybe, so.
And part of that too is because there was a decision to do the revenue bonding and the capital improvement bonding all as one bond issuance to save on cost. So in order to do that, we had to have everything ready to go to issue the notice for the bids on the full single bond issuance. So in order to do that, we had to have our ideas and our projects and our budgets for these parks projects and things like that ready to go when we were ready to issue the capital improvement bonds for the Bayfield Street reconstruction. So that was kind of all wrapped into, part of that was because the decision was made to wrap those parks projects in with the larger bond issuance there.
So maybe at some point we need to have another agenda item to kind of flesh this out for the next ones that were like more.
We will.
Yeah,
We absolutely will.
okay, thanks.
Okay, now, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Were you in favor, Don, or?
He said aye as I started to
Okay.
talk, sorry, I jumped the gun and keep forgetting to wait. I'm gonna skip the next one because it's not urgent and go and see if, someone, can we make a motion to provide the next two? Cause this, special event for Brownstone Block Party is something that happens every year, it's all the same, there's nothing, I don't think controversial there. And then the one after that is literally just approving to notice the annual alcohol license renewals. It's not to approve them, it's just to approve the notice of them. So it's nothing, again, controversial. So if anyone would care to make a motion to approve those two items, that would be great.
Combined?
Yeah.
I do have a comment about alcohol.
Okay,
I can wait for a motion.
okay,
I'll make the motion to combine
and approve?
and approve.
All right,
And approve, yeah. Combine.
just to combine, okay.
So motion to combine?
Yep. Right here, any second on that?
Second.
I'll second that.
I got Becca quick first, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, motion to potentially approve those two together?
Motion to approve those two.
Second.
And then Tony,
Now discussion.
So regarding
you talking to Jen's microphone?
regarding the alcohol licensing, I guess you have and two comments with that. Within the notice that I provided, I did have to make one correction with number 7 Lost Apostle. We will not be issuing them a fermented malt beer license because they now have that from the state.
Oh, right, okay.
The brew club thing.
Yes, so it is just the Class B intoxicating liquor license. Number 2, I would just like to point out, and I don't, I guess just a comment on it. Last year, council approved a change in our ordinances with revoking licenses, specifically hard liquor licenses, if they don't meet a standard format or frame of being open. And I have had questions with the license at Stage North. Just from my observations over the year of seeing when they've been open, I do not think that they maintain the time frame that council passed last year.
And we passed specific resolutions
Yes.
to,
So this would be for approval of the licenses though, so we
This
could,
is approval of notice, yes.
I'm saying what
license
you're
comes
talking
next.
about would be for the approval of the licenses, but
Yes.
can we approve the notice and then talk when we're looking at approving the licenses? Go ahead.
Yes, so we could approve the notice of applications here for if there's any concern, and I've been talking to Tony about this, and we did get some new information about potential change of owner or agent for that location as well that I haven't had a chance to look at. But if there is any question or concern about non-renewal due to not complying with the non-use ordinance, notice of that to the applicant or to the license holder would have to be issued at least 30 days prior to the expiration of the current license. So we do that for the June council meeting. If there's questions on non-renewal.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, is,
The notice is
Your
published,
council meeting is less than 30 days, so
Yes.
that would have to occur.
so I'll follow up with you on the timeline that would need to be if there's a concern on that, but I guess my opinion on that is, even if there's a question on that, the notice still gets filed. Because, let's say, even if there was a hearing to revoke, if that hearing were resulted in council deciding not to revoke, we'd still have to go forward, and this notice is still required in order for them to meet their next renewal period.
yeah, and for me, I would just hope that we would work with whoever we think that we're questioning, so that they could either show us their number, you know, just like have a conversation versus them being surprised. I think that's what happened last year, is they like, I don't know,
They had heard a rumor.
but and they listen to the team and said, you know, and I just wanna make sure like we value we value all of our businesses, we're not trying to like take anything away from anybody, and we're just following our rules and regulations, and so hopefully we can have that conversation sooner or later where we do have a question on the use, Tony, so,
Is that requirement back booking or cause the only reason I ask is because with their new like agreement with Big Top and maybe some additional open hours, like, I know that's really hard to.
So the thing we're talking about tonight is just approving the notice. So we don't need to get into any of the other stuff right now. We can't actually, because it's not on the agenda. We have to just vote for what's on the agenda, which is approving the notice that these applications have come in. Or we really aren't supposed to be talking about anything else other than that. Other than the other item we combined with it.
okay, I mean.
So save those questions for the next time that we have that conversation. Any other questions on the notice and the special event request? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and I know you have to take off, I don't need to hang out through the.
I did find that transaction,
Oh, good.
I'll just leave it open here to that.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're gonna go back up to where we left off.
What's my question? So when we combined, were we combining 3 of them?
No, we still got one that we need backup for.
We skipped the transportation fund.
Oh, this week,
Okay,
We'll just do that in June.
okay.
motion to.
It wasn't urgent.
Should do a motion to postpone.
Motion to postpone?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to postpone that agenda item.
is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Now back again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Becca.
All right, so now we're gonna head back up to the top for public comment. Who, please step forward and state your name and address, please, for the record.
Good evening, my name is Karen Wojcik and I reside at 610 East 4th Street. This evening I address you as a board member of the Washburn Heritage Association. I've come with other hats, but tonight it's the Washburn Heritage Association. And first of all, thank you, Mayor, so much for the proclamation declaring May as Historic Preservation Month. Annually, the WHA celebrates Preservation Month during the month of May with a variety of activities. We started with a proclamation, and as you came in this evening, you may have looked and seen the blue lollipop sign in front with the number 1 on it. That designates the City Hall as the number 1 designation on the self-guided tour of historic places in Washburn. There's a plastic track out there that contains the brochures that have the map that shows all the other buildings, historic buildings that are on the tour. And so I would urge the council and residents of the community to look for those blue lollipop signs. They're again at all the historic buildings throughout our community. Brochures are also available at the Chamber of Commerce. And finally, WHA invites all of the council members and all of the residents of Washburn to participate in the celebration that we have scheduled for Saturday, May 30, at the historic Lake Walk Walking Trail. We have a variety of activities that are planned for that day. We'll have guided tours along the walk with docents talking about what people would have seen 100 years ago if they had been on the trail. We will have someone talking about the native garden that is close to the trailhead. We're having a scavenger hunt for kids. The Lions Club will be there selling food. We'll have music. We will have free s'mores, and we'll also have a presentation regarding the history of the walking trail. How did it come into being? Who was involved in doing that? And finally, this just was serendipitous. When the Heritage Association decided that we would feature the walking trail this year for May Preservation Month, we hadn't done the math. But when I was getting ready and helping with putting the proclamation together, all of a sudden, I did the math. This is the 50th anniversary of when the walking trail was created. So it is a special day on May 30, both to celebrate Preservation Month, but to also celebrate the 50th anniversary of our wonderful Lake Walk Walking Trail. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your efforts as well as the Heritage Association as a whole with helping keep history alive in the city.
Thank you.
We're making history every day, so welcome.
Hi, my name is Bob Waldron and I live at 326 East 3rd Street. And I'm grateful the city is interested in and supporting Arbor Day 2026, which was on the agenda. I encourage the city to plant more trees, especially along the public trail by the waterfront and where trees on city property were knocked down by the recent storm. An issue related to both trees and local food, which is of interest to me, is the concept of food forests. And I'm going to do more research on food forests and try to connect with residents of Washburn to see if I can get a core group of people to develop a plan to present to the city. And it can include all kinds of things, but one of the things most food forests include are various types of trees. So I'm gonna try and get a few people that are interested in that. And if Washburn has previously considered and rejected the idea of food forests, and Karen didn't think she remembered anything like that, if you know of anything, I'd be interested because I don't wanna beat a dead horse. So, because things like fruit trees on city property can be real controversial. There's some cities that make it work and it works really well. There's other cities that ban it. So I didn't want to try and present something that was had already been shot down, so.
Thank you. We'll consult with our Public Works Department on that.
And the Parks Committee, you're on
And
the
the
Parks,
Parks
I'm gonna come
Committee,
find you.
Yeah. And the Washburn School Forest, we can do it there, you know, there's a lot of places we can do it, and I'm thinking outside of Washburn too. I don't know if you've heard about the Check Bay Grow Free program that Lissa Radke from the UW Extension did.
Just recently.
Yeah.
I saw something.
Yeah, just happened, and we gave away over 350 rhubarb plants
Oh, yeah.
to Check Bay residents, and she said Sawyer County and Douglas County want to get in on it next year, and next year will probably be blueberries or something, but anyway, so that would be part of the food forest, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else here for public comment? Anyone else? Anyone online? Okay.
I was waiting for everybody else. Hi,
apologize, when I printed this, I didn't it didn't print real well, but we should be able to tell what I'm talking about. I'm Anthony Jennings, 6424 Summit Avenue, Washburn. What I'm here to address today is what the city of Bayfield calls orphan lots. Those lots that are not served by city water and sewer, but are located within the urban service district. There are quite a number of these. I've sold them in the past. They've sold for very, very little. And they just really have been added on to other properties as additional land. But they're buildable properties, and it's a shame that the city is passing out the tax dollars that they could receive by these properties being developed within the city limits. Bayfield at one time did not allow private well and septic systems within the urban service district. They've changed that stance because they've realized that they're running out of places to develop, and that there were a lot of these orphan lots available that city water and sewer, for one reason or another, was not able to reach, but that could be developed. On here, the two lots outlined in yellow are two of those such lots. I had an offer on the one on the right that fell through because we just can't get city water and sewer for a reasonable cost. The one on the left we are selling. We did present this to the Planning and Zoning Committee. They suggested that I come talk to the city council because there was nothing that they could approve. But I would encourage you, if nothing else, to talk to Joe Weber at City of Bayfield Public Works Department and find out how they are in this newborn program, allowing some of these things to happen within their city. They realize that there are these orphan lots that cannot be financially feasibly connected, such as the lot on the right. When Scott Kluver was here, he had an engineering company that was willing to develop a proposal for installing these systems to connect lots. And when we had it priced out for there is no sewer between 12th Street West at the top and 8th Street West toward the bottom below the yellow outline. And to run the water and sewer for one block, which was the requirement that it has to go at least one block, it was $432,000. That would have served two properties, $160,000, excuse me, $200,000 a piece, which just is not feasible. In these situations, Bayfield is allowing private well and septic with the requirement that if city water and sewer is ever available and your system fails, you're required to connect, or if city water and sewer is available and the property transfers hands, you're required to connect. The same thing I had on my office building in Ashland. They had run city water and sewer. When I purchased the building, within 2 years, I had to connect, city water. Within 2 years, I had my own well, worked perfectly fine, but within 2 years of my purchasing that property, I had to connect to city water. A good example is Manypenny in Bayfield. They had no city sewer or water on a large stretch of Manypenny to the city line. And they received a grant for redoing the street. So they foot the cost. The city of Bayfield foot the cost for putting sewer in, as long as they had the street open anyway. And they stubbed it into every available lot so that when those lots are then developed, they can be connected.
I do need to just bring your attention, I didn't state it this time, but our practice normally is a 3-minute period. So if you can just kind of sum up, and then we'll talk about, at some point, if you want to get something on the agenda, that would be.
Sure, I'd love to get something on the agenda, and I'll wrap it up by saying that I think it would be really wise for the city of Washburn to contact the city of Bayfield to see what they've done in this situation, because you could have $500,000 houses all over town. The parcel on the right is a 3-acre parcel with a pond with excellent lake views. You could easily build $2.5 million homes there, be collecting large tax dollars, and they're just going to waste. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. At that time, we can also talk about all the different things that go along with that, why the city has an ordinance such as it does, and all of those things, so. At least, the plan commission item, when we talked about this other one on the left, we pointed out that the water and sewer comes very close to the edge of the property, and so that was, I think, resolved.
It was sort of resolved. The problem with that property is to run to the city's sewer, you're going across ravines, through woods, et cetera, so the cost that they thought might be about the same as a septic system is gonna be way higher, that it's much easier.
That's okay, so we're technically done with the item, but, so we will talk about it more if it comes back as an agenda item.
How do we get it done?
We've noted that it's a request, but we'll have to get more detail on what that would look like. So, maybe just follow up with me after the meeting.
Sounds good.
Anyone else for public comment? Anyone online for public comment? Seeing none, we will move ahead with mayoral announcements, proclamations, and appointments. I am not prepared to give citizen member appointments tonight, so hopefully that's not gonna affect any quorums that we have moving forward with current members. Although I should have looked at the reappointments that are staying put, because that might have an effect. If I need to reappoint people whose terms are up, if they're staying on the committees, and I don't have that in front of me right now. Can we make a general?
I would say that the default typically for committee members is that they serve until the position is vacant or until the successor is appointed. So the question is whether they would
Still be eligible to vote.
be eligible to continue until next meeting. My opinion is typically with any committees, they would still be. If it were an elected position such as alderperson, that's not the case. The term is up when it is up. But for other non-statutory positions, they can continue to hold that until
So,
it's,
yeah, I mean, we've been following till May, till the end of April
yes,
with these appointments.
yes. For,
Oh,
the non-citizen.
Yeah, the not.
Yeah.
Not elected.
And that's fine.
yes, that's what, until a successor is appointed, that person could continue to serve in that role for these non-statutory positions. We should get them, so it's clear who is and everything at the next meeting.
Sure. Okay, very good, thank you for the clarification. And then I do have proclamations for the items listed: National Skilled Nursing Care Week, National Police Week, Emergency Medical Services Week, Historic Preservation Month, and Arbor Day are all in your packet. I'm not going to read them all to you. There are some others even that I found out about that I should probably include here too. May is like a big month for proclamations. It's, I think it's Mental Health Awareness Month. And then it's also, it was Clerks Week last week, Municipal Clerks, which we technically don't have a clerk, we have assistant clerks. So thank you to our assistant clerks, deputy clerks. So those are two that we should add for next year for proclamations. And announcements, did I have any announcements? The only announcement I guess I have is Jen and I both attended day one of the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Spring Exchange last week. And I would say it was very valuable. I was able to stay for the second day, and it was only a half day the second day. And I learned more about tax incremental financing than I thought I could ever know. Because it's a very confusing topic, and like just the way that they presented was very helpful, and they had a little diagram. And I have all of those presentations, I have access to all of those, and so we talked about maybe doing an optional night where we could get together and share some of that information that we learned.
Tips hard.
And so, stay tuned, and we'll come up with a
Yeah,
date.
we're gonna-
maybe.
Kind of just, I mean, you likely are not gonna probably watch the video unless we invite you to come in and feed you some pizza. And then you watch maybe the video, because I didn't get to do the TIF one.
Yeah.
But I took some good classes too, and just in general, just learning, I now have more respect for my league magazine that I don't always read cover to cover, but now I will. Because I was kind of blown away by the organization and everything that they do and all the tools that they have for us. Kind of got me excited about city government.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could get more excited about city government.
So I'm super excited that someone else now has the
I
money.
know, so we're gonna have a little party, I think we should do it, because the TIF thing is something I missed, but I learned a lot in my classes too,
Yeah.
so. It's great, great.
And then the other thing about the league that I found out, for their offerings, they do these regional meetings where they go out into the community, so you don't always have to go to Madison for everything. And they're doing, as part of the closest regional meeting this year to us is in Osseo, which is like 3 hours, I think. But it might be worth it because they're doing, like a mock meeting where they're teaching new, alders about how to participate in a meeting. You know, all the Robert's Rules things and whatever else. And then they have the regional meeting after that. And so, even if you can go to one of those two things, it's, I think, July 8th. So put that date on your calendar if you're interested in participating in that regional meeting and opportunity to learn. And I also think there might be eventually an online version of the meeting. And that's gonna be in the learning lab, so you have to go into the league and log in, and then you have access to a lot more stuff.
Yeah, I think we just need to do an day on the league, and I think, or like a
Whole
day, no, an evening, and where we kind of go, I learned a ton, and then also there's a program that a lot of things that are free for us, because we get our insurance through them. Like there's this Ready Rebound program, where they like help navigate through like if somebody that's injured, you know, to like get them back to work and
After our workers' comp
and all this stuff, like just really good free services that I don't, the last thing I have to say is we are not alone. Every city and municipality out there is struggling with tons of things like we are, and so like.
Just have very few staff.
And like, you know, just lacking in staff and dollars and just in general, like every time you talk to somebody, you're like, oh yeah, blah, you know, like. So it was very, very interesting, so I do think it'd be worth us doing it. We should all go as a group next time, yes. It's really good. I don't say that very often about conferences. Usually I go and I'm like, oh boy. This time I was like, oh, what else can I go to? Who else can I talk to? So it was really cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
And it was free for us. They paid for 2 of us to go.
Yeah.
That's so.
And last year I think they paid for 3 of us. And last year Tony and Ariana went, and it was the first time they had ever gone to a conference as staff members here at the city, and I thought, well, that's crazy. And somehow we missed it this year for you guys, but we'll get, next year we'll start with staff again. Because it really is designed a lot for staff too, and at the end, all right, sorry, one more thing. At the end, they did, roundtable discussions. So they had a small communities, a medium communities, and a large communities. And so the small communities, I did a poll, because no one was raising their hand with a question at first. So I did a poll and I asked how many communities in there had administrators. And it was about half, maybe just under half, I would say, had administrators. And then I asked how many had combination clerk treasurers. The other half was all combination clerk treasurers. And that is something that we're always told by the auditor that you're really not supposed to do. But small, really, I mean, like, because, you know, it's like, whatever, the fox watching the hen house kind of thing or whatever. But so many small communities do it because they have no choice. It is so hard to find good clerks and, anyway, it was just very eye-opening that many people were doing a combination for a treasurer position. Cause I sat actually with the two ladies, one of them which was the clerk treasurer, and then the other lady was the deputy clerk treasurer. And they were each other's backup, and that was it, that's all they had for staff in City Hall. And that is, yeah, way more common than I had any idea. Not that it's a great thing, but it's happening.
It's one of the things that Tammy says not to do, but
It's,
anyway.
yeah,
Anyway.
it's one of the reasons why we continue to work on funding for local government, and the shared revenue was one step towards some solution that we'll just need to keep working on.
Well, and how much the league does for local government to protect and try to get funding and legislation to try to do things that will hurt local government, like everything that they do is like really,
It's for us.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. So yeah, we'll do a little training, because everything's on there. I never been really, I didn't on their stuff before. Shame on me. Have you been, Jared, have you been all over their website?
But I would read my magazine.
You
I'm
do
on the
not.
website,
I
I've
know.
been to the training.
You run two businesses, there is no way you're doing that, you're
Oh, I've
kidding.
been there.
All right, we're
I'm gonna test them later.
and then, moving on, our next item would be the presentation and discussion of the Root Tax Commission annual report. We do have the information that was given to us. However, Dave is ill, so he's not here. And when I first looked at the information that I just got right before the meeting, I immediately had questions. And so I think it would be in our best interest to postpone this once more and maybe have someone from the chamber come and help explain it. If Dave can't answer the questions.
That sounds good. I'll make a motion to postpone.
Can you do motions?
Yes, we still do have a quorum, because Don is,
Wait, that's only four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
One.
Goes back to
oh
last.
yeah, 9, sorry, I was thinking 7, off the top of my head.
So we don't have a quorum to vote on that.
So you don't have a quorum to vote,
It was just a presentation.
so you can't vote to postpone. What happens is, when you're less than a quorum, the only action that the council can take is a vote or a motion to adjourn the meeting. So when we adjourn without addressing all the other items, they just, yes, you need to have a motion to adjourn rather than Mary just saying all items being addressed, the meeting is now concluded. So that's the difference.
Thank you. Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Jen, second by Karen, all in favor to adjourn.
Aye. Just ran the vote for that.
Okay. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Sorry to kind of rush through some of those things, but thankfully nothing was super.
Recording stopped.
It was a good meeting too.
It's my first binder meeting.
Oh, right.
Very
Ooh.
exciting.
It was what?
My first binder meeting.
Oh.
So I just sat on the sofa, taking